In this video, I'm going to show you how to create the only sales funnel you will need to attract unlimited clients in your business. In my last video, I took you through the steps to create your no-brainer offer, and by the end of this video, you will have a sales page ready to sell that offer. This is the second video in a 5-part series sharing with you how I 10x my income while streaming my web design business down to less than 4 hours a day. And while I'll be using web design as an example, if you're anyone looking to sell a service or a product, then this video is going to help you do just that. So we're going to get straight into it. When you're trying to sell your service online, the mistake that most people make is thinking that they need to send people just to a generic website telling people all about yourself, showing off your portfolio, and then listing the hundreds of different services that you offer. A portfolio website is great if you're trying to land a job, but when you're trying to build a business and attract clients, this is a completely different thing. First thing you need to understand, whether you're building a website for yourself or for your clients, is that your website is not about you and what you want to say. It's 100% about your customer. If you want to build a website that doesn't just sit there looking pretty but actually makes you money, or in the words of one of my clients, is a client getting machine, then you have to understand that your customer is the main character here. Your website, your landing page is just one step in your customer's journey to buying from you. And this is what this journey looks like. There are basically 4 steps that you need to take someone from not knowing anything about you or your brand to becoming an actual paying customer. The first step is awareness. This is the top of the funnel. You're trying to get people's attention, let them know you exist. Then you want to make them curious, spark an interest in your service and what it can do for them. Then they need to know that they can trust you before they're ready to take action and actually buy from you. And so this is a very high level look at what it actually takes to convert paying customers. But what we're going to be doing in this video is actually breaking down how you do this and what that looks like when it comes to your sales page. So this is also known as a sales funnel, and you've probably heard of this or seen an in-depth video of someone walking through their 20-step sales funnel. But we're going to start by building the most basic funnel that you need to start converting customers in 2024. You create content to build awareness, trust, and authority, and then when they're curious enough to take action, send them to a landing page. The more specific your offer and your audience, the easier this is to put together and the more effective this is going to be. And so if you haven't already, make sure to check out my previous video to help you figure out what service you're going to focus on. Eventually, you might add other things into this funnel to help nurture your audience and do some of the work for you. And so this might eventually turn into a funnel that looks more like this. You would use their content to get their attention and then send them to a lead magnet. This could even be a paid ad that leads to a free download. You would then use this freebie and an automated email sequence to build trust. And then when they're ready to take action, send them to a landing page. As you scale, this is basically a way of automating this sales funnel so that it takes a lot of the work out of it for you. A lot of you watching this are probably thinking, great, let's go for option 2. Well, no, jumping straight into this is actually really hard to get right unless you have tried and tested messaging that you know works with your audience. And on top of that, every entrepreneur and their grandmother are trying to give out freebies right now to build their email list. And so people are more skeptical than ever, and it's really easy to get this wrong. Your freebie almost has to be better than your paid stuff. Take it from me, I have these products that I sell. The only 4-star reviews I have are on my freebies. So if you're giving out something free to build authority and trust, it has to be packed with value and offer a big win to your client. Otherwise, that trust is very quickly broken. Just throwing out any old freebie and sending a bunch of average emails at this point will probably do you more harm than good. And so if you're starting from scratch right now, it's going to be a waste of time to spend hours putting together this automated funnel right here. Organic content has the ability to take someone through this sales funnel 10 times faster. Just think about how much quicker you trust and feel connected to someone who's talking to you directly in a video like I'm doing right now. And you as the creator are able to get that real-time feedback about what your audience want and what messaging connects with them, because that feedback loop is much shorter when you're creating short form content. If you put out a video and the hook just doesn't quite connect, you know exactly what you need to change, which is why you want to keep everything as simple as possible at first so you can work out what's working and what's not, and then you can build up systems from there that allow you to increase the number of people that you can reach. So we're going to focus first on getting this to work right here. In the next video, I'll be taking you through in more detail exactly what content you should be creating to do this, but today we're going to be focused on building this sales page right here. So it's important that this isn't just a portfolio or a generic homepage. For this to be an effective sales funnel, every inch of this page needs to be talking to a specific customer about one offer, why this is a good service, why they need it, and why they can trust you to do it well. For example, this is your social media page. You have your link in bio here. The less options you give people, the more effective this is. So if your main goal is getting clients for this one service, then you would just link your sales page directly here. There's no other links or products where someone could possibly get confused or distracted. You're guiding them to one specific action. If you do eventually build out a small offer suite, and so you're using a links page here, it's important that you keep this as minimal as possible, 3 to 5 links max, and clearly directing to very specific actions that you want people to take. And then these would lead directly to a different sales page for each offer. But if you're brand new, no one even knows what you do yet, if your service is any good, or even if you're a trustworthy person, it's much more important that you keep things simple and just focus on this one clear offer. Now, the key to doing all of this effectively lies in your messaging. You need to know exactly who you're talking to and how to talk to them in a way that compels them to want to work with you. And so a lot of people at this point will just tell you that you need a customer avatar and get you to list a load of things like their sex, location, where do they live, what are their interests. But to be honest, most of the time, this is a very hollow task that doesn't really help you much unless you know what to do next with this information. And so what we're going to be using today, and this is what I use for all of my clients, is putting together our brand story script. This is from the book Building a Storybrand, which I highly recommend checking out. It's a very accessible starting point for learning sales psychology and storytelling. And this is essential because your website is 90% psychology and 10% design. It's all about crafting a story for your brand or your offer in order to connect with customers and take them through this sales funnel right here. And so this book is based on a very commonly used storytelling technique of the hero's journey. So it's positioning your customer as the hero of the story, and you or your brand are the guide that helps them overcome challenges and help them get what they want. And so if you haven't already, then you're going to want to download the free Notion workbook below, and this is going to give you some prompts and examples to help you. If you're following this series and you've already downloaded this workbook, then you'll already have access to this, and you'll be able to see the updated version just by clicking the link again in your Gumroad account. So the process of putting this together starts with identifying the problem that your client is experiencing. And this is basically the thing that they need when they come to you. And there's 3 levels to this to help you dig deeper into what your client is feeling to really connect to them. And so first up, you have their external problem, and this is their surface level need. This is basically what your customer is typing into Google when they're looking for a service or a product like yours. For example, I need a web designer to help me attract more clients. The next up is your internal problem, and this is what feelings are they having in relation to this need. So for example, feeling frustrated by low budget leads and discouraged by their lack of business growth despite their hard work. And so last up is their philosophical problem, and this is a little harder to get your head around, but this is basically at the deepest level, why is it wrong that your customers would experience this problem? And this is like your joint mission with your customers, and it usually begins with you shouldn't have to. So for example, you shouldn't have to work so hard to convince low budget leads of the value of your work. And so the last problem here is the villain, and this is basically the thing that's stopping your clients achieving their goals or their desired transformation. This is usually related to time, money, or lack of knowledge, and so I've left a few examples here to help you out. And so the next step now is to list the positive outcomes that they'll experience after working with you. And this is about the results and the transformation that you offer rather than the features of your product. So it's not they get a new website, it's increasing their leads and attracting higher budget clients who are excited to work with you. And so list a few of these here, and what we're going to do now is give your client a plan. Now that you have a beginning, so the problem that your client is currently facing, and you also have an ending, which is the positive outcomes that you can help them get, you need to give them a clear step-by-step process to get from point A to point B. This should be a simple 3 to 4 step process that makes it really easy for your customer to say yes right away. Your process may actually have 15 smaller steps in between each of these, but the point is that your customer does not need to know every single step to get started. If you confuse or overwhelm them, then you lose, and so you want to keep this as simple as possible. And so once your client has a plan, the next thing they need to know is, why should I trust you to be the one to help me? So there's 2 ways that we can do this, and the first is empathy, and this is about showing your client that you understand their situation. So the question that you want to ask yourself is, how can you use your past experience to show that you understand your customers' problems and know how to solve them? So for example, if I'm trying to build empathy with you watching this video, I might tell you about how when I first started my web design business, I struggled to find clients that were happy to pay $500 for a website. I would look around at everybody else and feel like a fraud and be overwhelmed with doubt that I was ever going to make my business work. But once I was able to get really clear on my messaging and know how to apply this to my marketing and my website, I was able to attract my first $5,000 client within weeks. And so now I'm here sharing exactly how I did it with you. So hopefully that's a really good example of how you can show your clients empathy and show that you know what they're going through. And the last thing that we want to do is build our authority, and this is about showing past results, so we can add past clients, testimonials, case study, portfolio examples. And then the very last part of our brand script is help them avoid failing. failure. So this is about gently reminding your customers what will happen if they fail to solve their problems. For example, they won't grow or get what they want. They'll lose money, waste time, increase stress, feel overwhelmed. It's not about making people feel bad. It's just giving them a gentle nudge in the right direction. And I'm going to show you how you can do this in the next part in a way that doesn't feel icky. So take some time to fill this out and try and keep it really simple. People buy the things that they understand the quickest, so focus on being clear instead of trying to be too clever, and you can always add clever later on to spice it up a bit. And so as you start to work with actual customers, you want to refine this so that this messaging is very relatable to them. Something that really helps is to write everything as if you're literally sat there explaining your service to another human. When I was writing the examples that I've given you, I was literally talking to one of my past customers. And so as you start working with clients and getting testimonials from them, you can pick out exact sentences and exact wording that they use to talk about their own situation and repeat these in your messaging. For example, this is what my client said in their testimonial. My website has transformed into a client getting machine. My leads are better qualified and they gush about my photography. You see how much more human and relatable this is, and you also start to bring in that social proof as well. Putting together this brand script can take a lot of practice, but this messaging, this content strategy is what clients pay you big money for. Anyone can generate a website in one click these days, but getting this messaging right so it really connects with a real audience, and then knowing how to take this and apply it to your marketing and your website is what gets people to buy from you. And so now we're going to learn exactly how to do just that. We're going to take this messaging and apply it to our sales page. So the secret every web designer doesn't want you to know is that there is a very simple formula to every single website. There's a series of essential sections, and once you know these, you can very easily get your client to take action. So we'll start by putting together these sections, and then you can go away and be as creative as you like with the actual design. You can follow along in your desired website platform. I'm using Framer, which I recently switched to and I'm absolutely loving it. Highly recommend this platform. If you want to use this exact template that I'm using, I'll be releasing it within the next couple of weeks as part of a bundle to help you design and build websites faster. So you'll get this Framer template with all the essential sections set up and laid out for you, and then all you need to do is customize the design and hit publish. If you're watching this and it's already been released, you'll be able to find it below in the description. But otherwise, if you've been following this series and you've downloaded the free workbook, then you'll get notified when it's released, so keep an eye on your inbox. So we'll start with the main navigation. When you have a sales page like this, the goal is to keep them on this page. So an effective sales page will often remove the navigation bar that leads to other pages like you would have on a generic website homepage, and just have this call to action button. If you do have links at the top here, these would be links that skip to a specific section on this page, and you want to keep them as minimal as possible. You want to ask yourself, when someone is coming onto this page, what are the most important questions that they need answered before they're ready to buy? For example, how does it work? What's included? How much is it? And then a link to all the other FAQs. We want to give people as few options as possible so it's really clear what action we want them to take. This action is highlighted using a button with a different color to draw your eye to it, and then we'll repeat this call to action button and keep it looking exactly the same throughout your page. Next up is the hero section. So within 3 seconds of someone coming onto your website, they should know the answer to these 4 questions. What is it? Who is it for? How would it make my life better? And what do you want me to do next? So I'll show you a couple of examples. So you have what it is, who it's for, how it will make my life better, and what you want me to do next. And then example 2, what is it? Who is it for? How would it make my life better? What do you want me to do next? You can see how you can really say a lot in very few words, and you want to keep this clear and as easy to understand as possible with a call to action button underneath it, as well as the one in the top right hand corner. If you are going to use images in this section, you want them to really reinforce this messaging and not distract from it. So sometimes it's best to really keep this simple, but if you can use an image that shows the desirable outcome that your customer wants instead of just telling, then it's a lot more powerful. For example, as a web designer, you can add a little snippet of your portfolio under this header section here to immediately show them that desired result. And this also starts to build your authority as well, which is exactly what the next section is for. So a good way of building authority is with a logo list of past clients or publications that you've been featured in, if you have them, that is. So don't worry if not. After this, the next section should address the key problem that your service solves. This is where we can go back to our story script to help us. So for example, the problem is struggling to attract high budget clients, too many low budget inquiries that don't see the value in their work. So let's put together an example. So the header, we know the value of your work. It's time your customers did too. You put your heart and soul into your business, but hard work can only get you so far, and a poor brand presence will have you working overtime and not seeing results. It's time to set yourself apart as the industry leader you've become with a kick-ass brand your customers genuinely love and a website that works as hard as you do. Not the best, but we'll work with it. We're touching on the problem that we talked about here. We're gently reminding them what the cost is of not solving this problem, demonstrating a positive outcome that they want, and then setting ourselves up as the solution to this problem. And so this is very rough. It's definitely not perfect. And you also don't need to pull from every aspect of this brand script within the first paragraph, but hopefully it starts to give you an idea of how we're going to take this brand script and start to use it in our messaging. So now we've addressed the key problem, we want to position ourselves as a solution to this problem. So we'll start to throw in some social proof here. You can also bunch all your testimonials together later on down the page if you like, but I think it's much more effective to sprinkle them throughout this sales page to help highlight them better. You don't really want to put a full paragraph. What you want to do is pick out and highlight the desired result within someone's testimonial. So a template for an impactful testimonial goes a little something like, before I was struggling with this problem and it made me feel negative emotion. Now I have achieved this result and I feel positive emotion. In the fourth video of this series, I'll be sharing with you the exact template that I use to get really effective testimonials like this. And so you know what to do if you don't want to miss that. But let's use this testimonial that I have here. The result within this is my website has transformed into a client getting machine. So this is how I'm going to present this testimonial to highlight the desirable outcome. Next up, it's time to give your client a plan. So you want to use the plan that you put together in your brand story script to give your customers an idea of how this works and then include a call to action. Then next up, we want to include some more portfolio examples, and you want these to be very curated and reflect the exact type of clients that you're trying to attract. So it's completely okay if these are passion projects because you want complete control over what these look like. You want 2 to 3 really strong portfolio projects that give your ideal client an idea of what you can do for them. Any project that doesn't quite reflect this doesn't belong here. And so alongside the portfolio images, you also want a small description. So a good template for a project description goes like this. When client came to me, they were struggling with this problem. So I helped them with outline project. Now they have positive results, and then use a testimonial from your client to add some extra proof. So I think it's about time we give our clients some buying options. So we want to outline our packages here. When you're listing what's included, you want to keep this as clear and simple as possible and try and stick to just the things that are most important to the client. This section is all about what we can do to increase the perceived value of the offer. So listing 100 things that you include doesn't necessarily do this. Usually using 5 bullets of things that the client really cares about is going to persuade someone much quicker than a huge long list. You might have 100 other things that you also include, but we want to summarize this as best as possible with the key benefits to the client. In fact, we always want to over deliver and surprise our client with far more value than expected. So it's actually really good to hit them with a few extras that they weren't expecting to be included. There are also some more subtle tricks that you can use here in the way you present your offer to increase the perceived value. So within this Framer template bundle that's coming soon, I've also included a buyer psychology cheat sheet with a lot of the more subtle techniques that you can use to increase conversions. To give you a few examples, we have the Goldilocks effect. So placing the desirable option in the middle in a different color will increase the likelihood that people will choose this option. Choosing not to use a currency symbol on the pricing makes it seem more affordable. And you can also use scarcity to encourage people to buy quickly by showing them how many is available. So don't overthink this too much or try to use all of these at once, but as you learn a lot more of these tricks, you can sprinkle them into your design as it fits. A really good book that I recommend to learn more about this buyer psychology is Alchemy by Rory Sutherland. So we can put an apply now button here. If this is a direct booking link and it takes them directly to sign up and take their payment, then you might want to offer the option for a quick 15-minute call here before they book in. Or you might decide that you want to screen clients before you waste any time getting on the phone with them. And in this case, you would take them to fill in a questionnaire and then get back to them. It really depends on you and your offer as to how you want to do it. I'll be going through the different options for onboarding new clients in the 4th video of this series. And so if we haven't convinced people to take action already at this point, then they probably need to know a little bit more about us. And so we'll add in a short section to build more authority and that connection with your audience. You can do this by mentioning qualifications or how many clients that you've helped to get a certain result. For example, I am a blank that's helped over X number of clients achieve this result. Again, this section is really not about you. It's all about your client and their problems. And so if you're going to talk about your own transformation, then you want to link it back to how you help your clients do the same. For example, mine might be, I started my design business to escape the 9-to-5, but soon enough, I was working my ass off 24/7, struggling to find clients and looking around at everyone else wondering what I was doing wrong. It wasn't until I got really clear on my messaging and learned how to apply this to my marketing and website, I went from struggling to find clients to attracting my first $5,000 client within weeks. Anyone can build a website, but I want to build you a money-making machine that leaves clients excited to throw their money at you. So really simple and short, but we really said a lot in that very short paragraph. And then we can include any FAQs. Now there's a really good trick for this. If you want to go onto ChatGPT, there's a prompt here. Client description is thinking about hiring a service type. What questions would they have before they are ready to book? Then describe your service. This will spit out a whole load of generic questions. Some of them won't be relevant and some you can cross off because you've already answered them, but there's usually a couple that you might not have thought of, and this will help you put together your FAQs. And then lastly, you never ever want a dead page, and so you always need a final call to action. And a section that I think is really powerful to put here is this for me? I love using this because a goal of a sales page isn't to trick someone into buying something that they don't need, but to help them make the right decision if this service is really going to help them. And so within this section, you want to list 3 to 5 common problems that your audience experience or relatable situations that they might find themselves in. The more specific, the better. And this helps your ideal customer really feel like you're talking directly to them. And then you want to list 3 to 5 successful outcomes that your offer will help your client to achieve. Again, use very specific examples to have your client thinking, yes, this is exactly what I want. Make sure you go back to your brand script to help you with this. Another thing I really like to put in this section is this is not for you if. For example, this is not for you if you're less than a year into your business and are unclear on your offers and who they help. So if you're just starting out, then you might want to use one of my website templates to get you started before dropping a pretty penny on the done for you service. So this can be really helpful for those people who've landed on your sales page but might be better suited to a different offer. And so that's it. Not only have you just built yourself a high converting sales page, but you've also learned how to craft powerful messaging and strategy behind a website. And this is the difference between a $500 and a $5,000 website. So now you have your sales page, you can take this and turn the design into whatever you like. Framer is really great because it gives you full creative freedom without needing to code, and you've seen how customizable and easy it is to use in this video. And when you're done, all you need to do is click publish and you now have a money-making machine ready to start attracting paying clients. But of course, this sales page is only as effective as your marketing. You need to be able to take people through this buying journey first to get them onto this page. So hit subscribe and join me in the next video where we're going through exactly how to start creating content that attracts those dream clients.